Hi, Gloria Lybecker here with Healing You. What does play look like? Well, for me, when someone invites me to play, you say, do you want to play? It opens up brand new possibilities. Yet there was a time when my son would get tripped over into stress and terror or overwhelm. And when that happened, the possibility of play just completely shut down for me. Because I would find myself flooded with shame and just a sense of disconnection and fear. On my journey, I have received a ton of resonant empathy support. And learning about the brain has helped me so incredibly much. And it's supported to me to live more in congruence with my values that I hold deep within my heart. I desire to be able to live from a sense of heart connection, for my heart to be open, to remain curious, engaged with understanding, and to be more consistent in my parenting. Yet, there were times in my life that I could really sense there was still something missing. There was still some capacity that I had not yet developed within me. And so I was longing for what I call a disconfirming experience. I didn't want it to confirm that there was something missing. I wanted to have an experience that was disconfirming. So I'd experienced something new. And what I wanted to experience that was new was for this heart of mine to remain open and present, regardless of any environmental factors that would come up. So what I got was an answer to my heart's desire. I had a breakthrough. It was years ago when my empathy buddy invited me and my son and my husband to come down to Portland for a weekend play workshop. I was excited and I was nervous as all get out. It's just what exactly I'd been longing for. So I was filled with gleeful anticipation. And my husband, well, he was willing, but it was very stretching for him. But the weekend gave me a very visceral firsthand experience, which helped me to gain so much more clarity around my son's experiences. So I was able to really begin to sink into responding from a heart of love rather than a heart of fear. And that's a big shift. I remember the first time going into that workshop, I was sitting in a circle with, there's like 30 or more people all gathered together. And then it was a great big circle. And we were all told to wear very loose and comfortable clothes. And we sat on a floor that was covered wall to wall with really thick blue cushy mats. And our instructor was O. Fred Donaldson. He wrote the book about original play. And he invited us to glimpse the world of original play by sharing a framework in which to hang concepts around choices, distinctions, and patterns. So he said, and I quote, "There is another choice besides resistance and contest behavior. We're looking at choice this weekend, fight, freeze, or flee, but we can actually play with events that are designed to kill us," end quote. I listened with rapt attention because I found the guidelines so illuminating. There's no contest, no winning, no losing, no fault, no fairness, no revenge, and no tickling. I realized then that the kind of play that I had learned in the world was cultural. It was about games and activities and sports. And this This kind of play is what's commonly presented to our children, along with teaching them rules to live by. Compete to win, or you're a loser. Find fault and blame, get revenge, exclude people. I recognized the style of parenting that had been modeled and adopted by me with my adult children. But what I now see is how it is really possible to hold one's children with unconditional love and acceptance. And I want, above all else, to be really clear on what that looks like and what that feels like. So at this hands-on workshop, I heard about the patterns of children's play, how children use their eyes, and how to use my hands and my feet and my whole body, and how touch moves up the body. And the last thing touched is the head, and how hands remain open. So we learned how to let our body mirror and imitate the body of the child, and to wait for our invitation to play, to be accepted, and to follow the child's lead. It was fascinating. As I listened to all of this, just drinking it in, I had a renewed sense of clarity within me, because I was waking to a whole new world of play I didn't know was possible. I had new eyes that I could see so many play opportunities with my child, and I was eager to explore them all. It was clear that original play is not just a human activity to solve a human problem. It's a gift given to all creation, and all of life knows the patterns. I'll share a little information with you. Fred spent 10 years playing with wolves. He played with wild dolphins for 5 weeks in Australia, and he played with deer, elk, bison, black bear, and grizzly bear in Montana. And all of the animals played with the same patterns. And I quote, "Original play is not about having fun. It's not a dance, a sport, or an extreme sport. It's a gift from creation so that I can love completely, fully, whatever comes to me." And that's from Fred. Well, that was something that I was desperate to experience, as well as to understand on a cellular level. I knew that this way of being was going to be key to perceiving my son in a whole new way, with much more consistency, and it felt really hauntingly familiar to me. I remember as I took in the information, my stomach and my jaws clenched tight to my resistance about actively participating. I would get really nervous about just stepping in with all these strangers. Because honestly, a part of me was just simply terrified that I was going to do it wrong. So I really felt this really huge impulse to hide as panic began to expand in my chest. What I did is I turned and I looked at my friend and my empathy buddy. And as our hearts and eyes connected, I felt this warm, gentle cascade of energy come all the way down my body and land in my belly. And the tension that I was holding released. There was an experience of revitalization and openness and the freedom to engage in the group with exploration and discovery on the visceral level. Everyone was exploring something new. And it was fascinating to notice that simply by having a playmate that I trust and I feel safe with, it made all the difference in the world for my nervous system to relax and be open to the learning experience. So I want to tie this into the research on neurobiology of a secure attachment. With the primary caregiver, the psychobiological regulation influences the child's maturing limbic system. So remember the brain in the palm of the hand? The brain areas that are specialized for adapting to a rapidly changing environment is this limbic system. And it's also known as our emotional alarm system. So the parent, if this is the child and the child can flip its lid, the parent comes in with a secure attachment that comes up next to the child where they can sync, and it actually supports the child's nervous system to come into regulation through co-regulation. The right hemisphere, it has deep connections into the limbic system and the autonomic nervous system, and it's dominant for our human stress response. So when I visually connected with my empathy buddy through our left eyes, my stressed right hemisphere was soothed and calmed by hers. So warm and resonant attachment relationships, they facilitate the expansion of our coping capacities. So this experiential learning was huge for me and was totally amazing to experience with conscious awareness in the moment. In no time at all, I could have this kaleidoscope experience. So like it opened up the whole new world for me around my interactions with my child. I was able to have more of a compassionate understanding around what his experience might be when he's feeling stressed or terrified and overwhelmed by his environment. It's just like too much for his system. And when I could get that, then my troubled heart that was so worried about getting it right could relax, and it could expand with acceptance and with love. I'd like you to join me in my next episode because we'll get to learn about the power of intentional play. And that's the kind of play that occurs when you step outside all the categories that you live in. Thanks for being on the journey with me today. Healing you.